So, this is why you really shouldn't be going to Epic Universe. I'm trying to make sure people don't buy tickets so that they add it to annual passes faster.
Right? Yeah, don't do that. Boycott. It's a terrible place.
I am having such withdrawals right now. It's not even funny. I can't believe how much this park that we are about to talk about has an absolute chokehold on me.
It makes me so happy how, like, borderline obsessed you are. I knew it was going to happen, and it makes me so happy that you're obsessed.
I roll. I'm narrating for the people listening.
I win
roll.
again.
I know.
I win.
Well, first off, welcome to Disney Magic and Beyond, presented by a couple of park hoppers. If you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now because it really helps our channel grow. And be sure to click that bell icon to be notified anytime we post a new video. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other podcast platform, be sure and follow us right now so you never miss an episode.
We are so excited to be back talking to you all, as well as bringing back our fan favorite series, Magical or Tragical. And for the first time ever, we are discussing an entirely new theme park, following the immensely successful grand opening of Universal Epic Universe. We will be discussing every piece of live entertainment there is to offer, in addition to each ride option in this park, and give our personal opinions on why each one is magical or tragical.
Yes, so I do want to start this by saying we have so much to share about Epic Universe. We could probably talk on this show
hours.
for days. Just so long. However, we want to get to the meat and potatoes about what you guys really want to hear, which is the attractions and the entertainment.
Yes.
So if you are super excited about Epic Universe, and either before or after you're able to listen to this, head to youtube.com/a-couple-of-park-hoppers. Go watch our videos. We have so much coverage about Epic Universe, but now you're going to hear what we really think about it.
It is... We have so much content up on YouTube right now.
And so much more to share.
And so much more to share, too. But there's one really fantastic video that we're so proud of. And if you want to get a good idea of what is at Epic Universe, if you want to go over there and watch that first and then listen to this and let us and listen and hear how we think about everything, then definitely go do that. But youtube.com/a-couple-of-park-hoppers. We would greatly appreciate a subscribe. And when you watch a video, hit that thumbs up button. It does help a ton.
Yes, comments, likes, shares, all of it matters, helps us grow.
Yes.
And we got big goals, and thank you for being a part of them.
Yes.
Now, I do want to also say before we jump into this, we have been to Epic Universe. Bill has been 7 times, and I have been 6 times.
The park just opened 4 days ago. What are you talking about?
So, when they first opened, I say quote unquote, the park, it was open to team members only, and they could invite people.
Correct.
At one point, you were not allowed to take pictures, not allowed to take video, nothing. Bill got invited as a +1, and there were no more plus
Sadly,
ones for
had to
me.
stay home.
I wasn't bitter at all.
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit.
She was like, yeah, I'm so happy for you. Go.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly how it went down.
That's exactly how it went down. But he got to go with a team member, and so that was really awesome that he got a peek at that.
Shout out Adonis. Thank you for the invite. Appreciate you.
Now, before he had even gone, we had purchased opening day tickets for May 22nd. And we were like, that's our one day to go to Epic Universe. That's it. That's all we're going to pay for until they add it to annual passes. Then they announced that they were going to be charging for the previews for annual pass holders, that you could get previews and pay for them. So my first reaction was, pay for a preview? I'm not doing that. And then 5 paid previews later, I feel
Hundreds
like
of dollars.
we still want more.
Here we are.
There was one day that we did not pay for, and no, we did not climb the gates or anything.
Wish
there
it
was
could.
there was a day that basically all the rides were delayed or shut down. And while they were in technical rehearsal, and so guest services was offering an extra ticket, we decided that instead of waiting till September, we wanted to use them now because we're manifesting Epic being on annual passes before then.
Sooner rather than later, hopefully.
I say August. I'm saying it now.
I need to get back in there. It is that good. It is really cool, you guys.
Yeah. So whether you've been to Epic Universe or you want to plan to go to Epic Universe and want to know maybe what you should prioritize, or maybe you don't see yourself going for the next couple of years, you've got other stuff going on, and you just want to hear the nitty gritty. You want to hear the meat and potatoes, the down and dirty about what is going on at Epic Universe.
Yes.
This is your episode. It is time for us to talk about every attraction and form of entertainment at Epic Universe because we made sure that we did it all.
Yes. And remember, these are our personal opinions.
Yes.
This is not a fact about Epic Universe and everything that it has to offer. This is our opinion, so don't come at us because these are our personal opinions. Personal. Whether we deem it magical or tragical is completely up to us. We do not speak for anybody, including the NBC Universal parent company, whatever. This is just a couple of park hoppers talking to you. Bill's opinions, Danny's opinions, and we're going to have some fun with this, as you've heard before in our previous magical or tragical episodes, which are available on our podcast feed anywhere that podcasts are listened to. So, you want to dive into this?
I do. I'm just trying to make sure I have everything pulled up because
She's
we have a lot of
prepared.
information to go through.
Oh, yeah.
So I think the first thing that we should go through is Dark Universe.
Dark Universe. Are you a delightful freak?
It's good.
Oh, man,
we got
I
to make
love
sure we also don't segue too much in this episode.
I
There's
know.
so much to talk
There's
about.
so much to talk about.
So, Dark Universe. You want to take this one?
Sure. From the experiments of Victoria Frankenstein to a twisted landscape where monsters roam, Dark Universe is a grim world of myth and mystery.
So, first off, Dark Universe is the world that I originally thought was going to be my favorite. I have said before on the show and in person that this was the world I was the most excited about.
Okay.
How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a fan of the Universal monsters, as you can see from my hoodie here. I've got all them Universal monsters. I got can I point the right way? Dracula, and I got the Bride of Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster, and Creature from the Black Lagoon's in there somewhere. There he is, gigantic, right there. I love the Universal monsters. I mean, who doesn't love Dracula and Frankenstein and the Invisible Man and Wolfman, and who doesn't love those classic horror film characters? And when I heard that a whole land, which is a ballsy move by Universal, by the way, to base an entire land off of Universal monsters and not like some crazy popular intellectual property,
Right.
is a bold move. And man, did they pull it off. They did a good job. They did a really good job.
Now, currently in Dark Universe, they have 2 attractions. So we're going to go over each of these attractions, and as we go through each world, either an attraction or entertainment offering, and deem it magical or tragical. So in Dark Universe, we have 2 attractions that we are going to talk about.
Yes.
So first, let's talk about Curse of the Werewolf. Beware as you face the curse of the werewolf, which sends you spinning and weaving through the woods as you attempt to escape a pack of werewolves. Now, the concept art looked really, really cool. When you saw this, it looked like you were going through like scary like buildings that were all broken, and this big giant werewolf was coming down that was about to like swipe at you, and it looked pretty epic, huh? So to say.
Nice.
And just to clarify, because it's not really in the description, this is a roller coaster. Now, it is one of the milder roller coasters, but it's a roller coaster that has seats that spin So you're spinning on a track, very gently spinning, though, I would say.
Depends on the ride, honestly, because I've heard other reports that people are like spinning around and round and round and round and round. But it was a little bit of a different experience for us.
Yes. So what did you say about this ride?
So I deemed it tragical. I had high expectations going into this ride because I knew what it was. It was a spinning coaster that had elements where you would go forwards and backwards, and you would see this really cool animatronic of the Wolfman in the werewolf in the building in the middle of the ride. And I know that you were going forward and then didn't get all the way up the track, and you would end up going backwards, and then you would see that really cool animatronic again. I will definitely give this ride another shot, but our one ride through of this ride was a little on the disappointing side. We went through during the day, which is probably our first problem. And then our coaster did not spin more than like twice on the ride that we went on. But I did see other vehicles on our same coaster train spinning around and around. So I guess it just depends on the ride, or maybe like the weight distribution, or if people are leaning. I don't know. But also, the animatronic of the wolf was not working. And you go through it so quickly that your eyes don't adjust when you're in the daytime, that I barely caught a glimpse of the wolf who wasn't moving. So in my first run through, and because of that, and because of the daytime and the not spinning and the wolf not working, I'm going to go ahead and deem this tragical for now. I may change my opinion later on. But again, tragical doesn't mean it's as horrible. Tragical just means like it's just not as good as the other stuff.
So I also deemed this ride tragical, kind of for similar reasons that you did. The views around the actual ride, when you're not going through the little house with the werewolf animatronic, it's kind of like there's not a lot to look at. And if you're not spinning, you're just kind of looking at the sky, which there's nothing wrong with that. The werewolf animatronic wasn't working. Again, technical rehearsals, we get it. Or at least when we went, it was technical rehearsals. I'm going to give them, grace on that. But it would have been cool to see that. My biggest complaint is that this ride is under 40 seconds.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Like, under 40 seconds, like, that's a really short ride.
Yeah.
That's a really short ride. And, at some point when we were there, I think people were waiting like 60, 75 minutes for a 40-second ride. Just feels not the way I want to spend my time.
Yeah.
So I would definitely give it another ride. I definitely think that, like the rest of Dark Universe, it comes alive at night, but definitely tragical, like without a doubt, for our first experience.
This land is so meant to only be accessed at night. Just the fog effects, the lighting effects, the noises, the monsters, the animatronic on the werewolf coaster, like everything is just meant to be seen at night. And the most tragical thing of all about Epic Universe is that it's not open late. It should be open till midnight every single night. Mm-hmm. At the very least, 11 o'clock. Mm-hmm. There should be at least 3 hours of golden hour and darkness where you can enjoy the park as it was meant to be seen, with all the effort and the money that was put into the lighting and the effects of everything in every single land, not just monsters.
Right. 100%.
So that is definitely something that they're going to have to consider, because Dark Universe is 1,000 times better at night.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
So moving on to the other attraction that is in Dark Universe, that is Monsters Unchained: The Frankenstein Experiment. In Monsters Unchained: The Frankenstein Experiment, Dr. Victoria Frankenstein's demonstration goes awry when Dracula leads a revolt of angry monsters attempting to escape the catacombs. You want me to go?
No, I can go first for this
one. Go for it.
I'm not going to curse because I don't want you to have to edit me cursing out of this.
Okay.
But holy Yoshi, like
Holy Yoshi.
Oh no! Holy Igor.
There you go.
We'll do one like that's themed to the land, and Igor is a walk around character.
Igor's
there.
awesome.
Yeah. So this ride is like you have to see it to believe it.
Yes.
The pre-show to this ride has 2 animatronics right off the bat that are unreal. The movements are unreal. And then Victoria Frankenstein takes you through, well, technically Igor takes you through the ride.
Yeah.
And you get to see so many monsters, and some of them multiple times through the ride. And I definitely had no idea what to expect, but seeing this ride with my own eyeballs was probably just the most insane thing that I've ever seen a theme park bring to life. I mean, these animatronics are...
They're next level. They're so impressive.
They're alive.
Yeah. It's alive.
It's alive. Like, they're alive. The other thing is, aside from the pre-show being fantastic, the ride itself being fantastic, it's so much fun. I feel like I notice something new every ride. It is a people eater. This ride has been so consistent in that on days even when it's busy, it'll drop down to like
Short waits.
20 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that.
It's very impressive. The load room alone is gigantic.
Right.
It is very cool. They are loading 4x4x4x4x4 very quickly on this ride.
So overall for this ride, with the technology that they have brought these universal monsters to life, I have to say magical, because there is no other ride that exists in a theme park, at least in America, that has brought this level of technology and just imagination and creativity to life. So yes, absolutely magical.
Yeah.
So what do you think about Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein experiment?
I might go out on a limb and say that Monsters Unchained is my favorite ride at Epic Universe.
Okay.
It is incredible. Think of, if for those of you who are Universal fans, if you've ridden Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, the ride in Hogwarts Castle, where you're up on the robotic arm and you're kind of like turning, like going through the sets and the screens and all that. Think of that ride system and that ride, but on like super steroids. It is the scale of the sets that you're riding through are much bigger than Forbidden Journey. You're not going into little dome screen carousel things that can sometimes be blurry, that cause a lot of motion sickness issues for a lot of people. And the movements, while a little bit more jerky because you're being constantly kind of thrust up into the monsters' faces almost.
Like into their space so you can get a good look at them.
Or they're being thrust towards you. The movements are a little bit more jerky and intense, but the ride itself is significantly smoother. And the blending between animatronics, which are crazy impressive, realistic animatronics, and the screen-based technology is next level. You transition from animatronic scenes to screen scenes, and then there's combined things, and the amount of different monsters and really impressive animatronics you get to see in that ride, it is by far one of the coolest rides I've ever seen in my life. It is so cool. I love. Do you have a favorite animatronic, by the way, that you saw in there? Because I do, for sure.
Which is yours?
Mine is Phantom of the Opera. I absolutely love when you first enter the room or enter the ride. First of all, you see a Hunchback of Notre Dame up above your head inside of a bell that you wouldn't notice. I did not notice the first couple of times, but he's there. But the first real animatronic that you see is the Phantom of the Opera, and he's sitting at this gigantic pipe organ with flames shooting out of the pipes, and he like is playing the organ, and he turns around and like reaches out to you, and he's like, "Raw!" And it is so cool looking. I absolutely adore that animatronic, and then Dracula, Frankenstein, Creature of the Black Lagoon, all of the animatronics that are in there, the Wolfman who spits all over you. Like it is absolutely insane what they did with this ride. And there is absolutely nothing I could say besides holy magical.
I will say that I think that maybe one of my favorite animatronics is one of Frankenstein. It's hard to say because I don't really have a favorite because I love them all. But there's one where he gets, Victoria says, we need power. And he's holding on to one thing and he reaches over and grabs something else to like take the power. And like the effects in that animatronic, oh yeah, right here. Right in front of you.
Yeah. And this is the concept art, but it really does look just like that.
But once he gets that power, he like throws his head back, like almost like
he's getting zapped.
Like he's feeling all of that power enter his body, and it's like a person would react. It's insane. It's so insane what they have done with these animatronics. So overall, magical. I will tell you also, fun fact is every time we go here, we should ride this back to back twice because we love this ride so much.
It's the rideability, like Danny was saying, is absolutely insane. Like I notice something new every single time. Like we won't dive into it because we need to move on.
Yeah, but I don't want to give too much away.
Yeah, but every time we ride, we notice or hear something different.
I did want to say one other thing about not necessarily this ride, but this was our introduction to something. At Epic Universe now, the way that you put your bags away is brand new. Mm-hmm. So after you go through the pre-show, they have you take off anything that could fall off, and you walk up to like a section, and there's different sections, and they take a picture of your face, and then you confirm if like, hey, that's a good picture of me, like not to like share or anything, just like that's me. You can see my face, and you confirm it. You put all your stuff away and close it. Then when you come out of the ride, you go to the same section that's numbered, and you stand in front of there. It pops up with your face and you say, yes, that's me. And it opens your locker. So you don't have to like
have the key.
There's no combo. You don't need anything physical.
Pass.
You don't need anything physical with you to unlock it.
Yeah.
And I just think that's a really cool bit of technology that, I mean, it's a little glam body for it. Cause like you get the, like almost like a ring light on you and you're like, and you pose and
yeah.
Or you don't pose and you look really mad in the picture is what I keep realizing.
Yeah, and not only are they technologically advanced lockers, but they are big lockers, so you can fit a backpack and you can stand your water bottle up in there. And also, much like Velocicoaster, they are double-sided as well.
Yeah.
So, pro tip, if you have something that you're concerned about falling out, put it in last. Mm-hmm. So it's in the back of the locker when you open the other side. But Monsters Unchained is absolutely bananas. It is one of the most impressive, if not the most impressive ride I've ever seen.
Right.
So, yeah, that's that. Moving on to what eventually, and I think ends up being our favorite land at Epic Universe. Do you want to take this one?
Sure.
Go for it.
Next,
this is Berk.
Next, we have How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk. Explore How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk, and discover an island where Vikings and fire-breathing dragons exist together in harmony. Now here we have, 1, 2, 3 attractions and 2 forms of entertainment. Mm-hmm. So I just want to point out that we have over double what the last world had.
Yes.
So
speed round.
Yeah. No, but I'm just saying like there's more to do at this land right off the bat.
Yeah.
And I will say that and admit that when they first announced How to Train Your Dragon, and I was like, okay, that's a weird thing to want to make a world out of.
But they knew.
But I had never seen How to Train Your Dragon.
As she sits here wearing there's my hand. As she sits here wearing a toothless t-shirt.
Yes.
Yep.
Because that's the only piece of merch I've purchased
Oh, definitely.
there.
Definitely.
I had never seen it. So we watched all of the movies together, and the movies are so great. And I realized that I guess I was just in like the throes of college, like studying and, being in my early 20s. And I never saw that movie. And so you had never seen it either.
Nope.
So when we watched it, and then by the time we got to Isle of Berk, you'll hear what we thought of this.
Yes.
So let's start with the attractions. So attractions, Dragon Racers Rally. At Dragon Racers Rally, Berk's new Vikings can practice aerobatic maneuvers and high-speed barrel rolls in a towering Viking-made dragon riding trainer in hopes of becoming champion dragon racers.
I'll go first real quick.
Yeah, you go
I
first.
didn't ride this. I don't like.
But why?
I don't like that kind of ride.
What kind of ride?
I have a little bit of a heights issue when it comes to being able to see straight down. And as you can see in the concept art on our screen here, it is one of those like carnival-esque, like loopy spinner rides. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like it just kind of like loops around on a diagonal basis where you're near the ground and then you're way above the ground.
So there's this girl, and I feel like everybody's seen her on social media or the news, where she's on a ride and it just spins in circles. It's on like a giant arm, and she takes the wings, and when you swing them back and forth, you can spin yourself. Mm-hmm. So you spin yourself as much as you want. So some people just kind of sway back and forth, and she's like the master of it. She'll go on a ride and like spin like 30 times. So that's the kind of ride this is. Yeah. I was super excited about this ride, but go ahead and finish. What was your take on it?
I don't enjoy this kind of ride. I don't like being able to see straight down. I don't do drop tower rides for that very reason. It's the only type of ride that I won't go on. And Tower of Terror doesn't bother me because I can't see straight down. The dropping sensation doesn't bother me. It's more or less just looking straight down at the ground that bothers me. So I didn't ride it. So me personally, in my own opinion, I'm deeming it tragical just because I don't like this kind of ride, but it doesn't take away from the ride itself because Danny actually rode it, and it's her turn to let you know what she thought.
So this is a ride that I was super excited to ride. I wanted to try to get the little ride vehicle that I was swaying back and forth to flip. That was what I wanted to do. I was like, yeah, I can do it. Like, I'm sure I can figure it out. You get into your ride vehicle, and the ride itself is like maybe 30 seconds. I know it's 30 seconds at least.
How many times did it go around? Is it like 3 or 4?
Not enough.
Yeah.
So but by the time that they started bringing us down, I was starting to get a bigger swing. But in 30 seconds, you're kind of trying to figure out how to get your personal vehicle to move, because you're holding onto each wing. And when you go one way, you have to like lift the other wing and point it forward. And then when you swing the other way, you have to swing the other wing forward. So you have to kind of get like the motion, and 30 seconds is not long enough to get that. And so I was really disappointed. And honestly, I'd love to ride that again. The biggest problem is that this is the opposite of a people eater. You can only fit so many people on a ride per hour. And like loading people in, making sure that they're locked in properly, because if they're, able to flip upside down, you need to make sure
it's properly secured.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm hoping that I change this if I get to figure out how to ride it. I probably wouldn't change this though, because you shouldn't need to practice being on a ride to deem it magical. Right. So I'm going to have to say tragical for this one.
I mean, that's unfortunate because I know you were looking forward to this ride, and the ride is really short.
Honestly, I figured that like a little kid might not be able to flip it, but I'm like short and thick. I was like, maybe I can bring like my booty back and forth and get it to flip around. Didn't help. Couldn't do it. And
not so much.
No, I've never seen anybody flip it. But I guess we haven't stared at that enough to see if anybody has learned to flip it.
Also that.
So yeah, that is Dragon Racers Rally. Tragical for both of us.
All right, moving on to the next attraction at How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk is Fire Drill. In Fire Drill, the Viking twins Rough Nut and Tough Nut have transformed Berk's Fire School into a watery, interactive boat battle at sea where teams of Vikings compete to out-soak each other.
So for this ride, we went on this ride on our last day at Epic because we didn't want to get soaked and then be stuck walking around in like soaking wet clothes.
We are not a fan of that.
No.
Wet feet ruins my day.
Wet socks. I'm done. Take
It's
me
over.
home.
Yeah.
So Fire Drill, we waited. And the thing about Fire Drill.
We brought water shoes.
We changed into water shoes.
For that day.
Is that I don't know if this ride, if it is supposed to have stronger spurts of water.
Yeah.
Pointing at
Stronger streams.
Stronger streams, yeah, pointing at the targets. Because the streams weren't even reaching all the targets.
Yeah, there's targets high and low and far away, and think of it like kind of like, you know, when you go to a carnival and you play like the horse race thing, or like the thing where you blow up the balloon where you're aiming the water at the target. Like think of it like that. That's kind of like the situation that you have. You're holding a kind of like a gun, and then there's a little lever that you pull to, you know, spurt the water. But when we were on it, the power of the water wasn't reaching a lot of the targets, and there was no way to aim higher because of the limitations of the gun and which way you could point it. So, and I know it was technical rehearsal. The ride was not open officially on May 22nd yet, but when we went on it, there was only 3 boats out of probably 15 to 20 that were actually working properly, taking people.
Yeah.
And then once we got on it, the streams were weak, and then we also paused in the middle of the ride.
I mean, it was like the last like eighth of the ride.
Yeah.
Like we were basically
It was
done.
past the halfway point, but we paused and we sat there in the sun for about 10 minutes, and there was the longer we sat there, the less and less water we were able to shoot out of the gun. So we were just kind of sitting there roasting with nowhere to go in the middle of a water ride. So it wasn't the best experience. I'd like to do it again after they work out the kinks and, you know, figure out everything as far as the water pressure and like the amount of boats running and whatnot. But our experience, at least my experience on that, was definitely tragical.
Mine was also definitely tragical. I will say, though, the actual ride itself visually is so pretty.
Yeah.
It's like so much fun. That ride, you can hear them talking. I think it would also be fun for smaller kids because there's no score.
Correct, yes.
So if you have kids who are like, no, I win. No, I want to win. No, you. I mean,
you all win.
You all win. You your prize is having a good time.
Your prize is how wet you get.
Yes. And so I do think that it's a really fun ride, like, because we cooled down a little bit, but not my favorite. And I think it does, like you said, long wait, got stuck, streams don't go all the way, and just overall, it's not as much fun when you don't get to keep score.
Correct. So Fire Drill, probably do it again at some point, but our first impression was tragical. All right, the other ride.
So attraction
that we have in How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk is Hiccup's Wing Gliders.
Climb aboard Hiccup's wing gliders and get ready to fly like a dragon. This wing contraption sends brave Vikings swooping and soaring, offering a dragon's eye view of the Isle of Berk. Now, this is a coaster, but it's not like a big coaster. It's like somewhere between like a kid's and a regular coaster, I would say.
What I've been telling people is that it's somewhere between the intensity of Slinky Dog Dash and Hagrid's. It's not as crazy, like fast, different elements as Hagrid's, but it definitely has its moments. and it is definitely family friendly like Slinky Dog Dash. So that's how I would describe it, is somewhere between if
I
Slinky
would say
Dog
it's
Dash
less than that,
if Slinky
though.
Dog Dash is like a 5 and Hagrid's is like an 8, this is like a 6.5, 7, somewhere around there.
See, I would say it was more like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
Okay.
If it was smoother and a longer ride.
A much longer ride.
I just think Slinky Dogs does have
It's
some
definitely faster
but
than
Slinky Dogs
Mine
has
Train.
some bigger like dips at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say it's kid friendly. All of the rides that we have named, it has some sort of element of those, I would say. But what did you think of Hiccup Swing Gliders?
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. First of all, you get to ride a roller coaster to the How to Train Your Dragon theme. Oh, it is amazing. That music is just, it's the most inspiring movie music possibly of all time. When you listen to it and if you're ever feeling down and you want to feel great, listen to Test Drive, the track from the How to Train Your Dragon soundtrack, and it is like, that'll just turn your day around. It is amazing.
Right.
So getting to ride a ride with that and the onboard audio, the fact that there's onboard audio makes me so happy, because that's like the only thing wrong with Velocicoaster is that there's no like Raptor soundtrack, whatever, on board. That is the only thing wrong with that ride, and the fact they put it on Hiccup Swing Gliders makes me so happy. The ride is awesome. There's different moments of acceleration and slowing down and looking at things, and visually it's stunning. You basically ride through the water, which is really cool. You see an animatronic Hiccup and Toothless at the very beginning, and then there's a backwards element, kind of like Hagrid's.
And animatronic Gronkles.
Animatronic Gronkles, one of which we adopted, and his name is Pickles. Do you want to show Pickles on the screen?
Yeah. I mean, he's a baby. He can't be left by himself. Uh-oh, I think he's stuck.
He's stuck. That's okay.
He's a baby.
It's totally fine. Well, you can look at our social media. Go to youtube.com/a-couple-of-park-hoppers, and you can see the video of us adopting baby Pickles inside How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk. But it is... So, there he is.
Took him out of
there he is.
I took him out of his egg.
Why is he named Pickles? Because the two fantastic team members that we were with that helped us adopt baby Pickles helped us decide on a name by saying that they named theirs after their favorite food, and Danny's favorite food is pickles. So that's kind of what we went with.
So he's going to take his little wings and fly away right now.
That's our little baby Gronkle.
Yes.
But there's a really fun scene where you go backwards, and then there's Gronkle eggs that are hatching, and then you have to race away because apparently they explode when they're hatching. So lots of really cool high speed elements, not crazy high speed, but mid speed. That's thrilling enough for adults and really fun for kids.
Yes.
Overall, I love this ride. Definitely a magical from me.
So I'm going to say magical as well. This ride is one of those moments where when you're on a ride, that's why you go to a theme park. Like the music paired with seeing the animatronics around you. And the coaster actually takes you basically all the way through Berk, like most of Isle of Berk.
Yeah.
And paired with the music, it gives you just this feeling of like, wow, this is amazing. I'm flying with a dragon. And so 100% magical. I would say magical 100 times over, even though the day that we were there, we got stuck listening to one of the days we were there. We listened to the intro, like the safety video, maybe like 100 times.
Literally.
Because there was a little delay, and by the time we left, I was like, this is Berk. And I can't do his
I'm
voice.
Hiccup.
I'm Hiccup, chieftain of Berk.
Chieftain of Berk. You probably know me as the guy who rides on Toothless.
Bill can do accents.
Yeah,
I can't.
that was bad. That was really bad.
Yours are always better than mine anyway.
This is Berk. I'm Hiccup.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of Hiccup, we are now going to move on to the entertainment part of How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk. And the first thing that we are going to talk about is meeting Toothless and friends. So come meet Toothless and friends at the Haddock, Paddock, and pose for photos with Berk's most celebrated dragon and dragon rider. So this is located right outside of the thing we're going to talk about next, the Entrainable Dragon Show. It's located right outside of there. This is one thing that as soon as I saw that this was something you could do as a self-professed meet and greet girly, I was like, oh, what? Excuse me? I can meet Toothless.
And friends.
And friends. So they do rotate Hiccup, Astrid, and Viking friends. Sometimes Astrid and Stormfly, so that's Astrid's dragon, are also in line for you to meet. So it's kind of like a hit or miss on what you're getting. But Toothless is always there. Oh my gosh. Meeting Toothless. I was so nervous about that. I was so excited. And I cried meeting Toothless. Like, what a magical, it's magical. Who are we kidding?
Suspend disbelief, anything is magical.
What a magical meet and greet. Toothless interacts with you. He reacts to what you're saying. We have videos that I need to share where I was taking pictures of him. I took video of him. He was responding when we were talking. All the Viking friends that we were meeting, they were all so wonderful. And as soon as I got to meet Toothless, I immediately just got emotional. And the character, the dragon trainers were so wonderful in being making it feel like it was normal to feel like that. Because as a self-professed meet and greet lover, meet and greet girly, getting emotional at meet and greets isn't always I don't know, not everybody does.
No, I don't.
And the way that they reacted, and you can go watch that on youtube.com/a-couple-of-parkhoppers. You can watch our whole interactions, but they were
it was awesome.
It's your first time meeting a dragon. I was so emotional the first time I was meeting a dragon. It's such an emotional thing. And they kind of they didn't delve into it, but you could tell that they were also just loving sharing that experience with people. Even people like me, who I'm not a 5-year-old kid. These experiences are for everybody. And they made, I feel like they made me feel so welcome. It made us feel so welcome in that experience. So all capital letters, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, underline, magical.
Absolutely. And I'm going to leave that up on the screen because I am also deeming this magical. And unlike Danny, I don't really get emotional per se at these meet and greet type things, like meeting the characters, especially the ones that don't talk to you. But walking up and seeing a life-size Toothless just blinking and smiling and moving around and wiggling his nose, and you got to do the thing where you put your hand out on his nose and you train him like Hiccup does in the movies. But like Danny was saying, we had never seen those movies until we were preparing to go to Epic Universe, and I have completely fallen in love with that franchise. Those movies are so fun. They're funny. They're sad. They're emotional. They're happy. They're it plays with your emotions in all those movies, and all three of them are absolutely spectacular. So having seen those movies and going back to Epic Universe to be able to have a chance to meet Toothless and Astrid for our interaction and another Viking friend, the Astrid was amazing. She was so cool. But meeting Toothless was just unbelievable. It's hard to describe unless you're standing there, because you're interacting and playing with what's essentially a giant monster.
It's a Toothless.
It's a monster dragon.
Okay.
And it's just this thing is standing in front of me, and it's moving around, and it's looking at me, and it's blinking its eyes, and its pupils are getting bigger and smaller. And it's it's surreal. And in our video right here on our channel, like Danny said, you can see our entire interaction with Toothless, Astrid, and the Viking friend. I had an opportunity to talk to Astrid and Toothless and told them a funny little story about Simba, who's our dog, who after we watched the movies, we started calling him Toothless because he is missing a couple of his front teeth, and he had to get them pulled a couple years ago. And so we call him our little Toothless. And so we told them that story, and obviously Astrid and the Viking friend were, laughing. And then Toothless was like, it was amazing. It was so cool. Go watch that video because it is like one of my favorite memories from a theme park ever. Just watching that dragon just have fun with us. I can't say enough good things about this meet and greet. It is worth every minute of the wait.
100%. I also wanted to just say that I don't think I came up with this name for what I do until more recently, but I am what I call a magical crier.
Oh yeah, you are.
So when I get that like feeling of joy, the goosebumps on my arms, the emotions, the happy feelings, and it makes me cry. That's when I'm a magical crier, and this park has made me a magical crier more than I thought I was going to.
Mm-hmm.
Before we move on,
okay,
I did want
is that a good segue? But go ahead.
No, we cannot move on until we do this.
Okay, go ahead. What do you got?
We need to give a shout out because it's not officially on the app or the website. So the way we listed it is everything that's on the app and the website. We need to give a special shout out in terms of meeting Toothless and friends to the additional entertainment that you can catch in Isle of Berk.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So Rough Nut and Tough Nut.
Amazing.
Run around, interact. They are incredible. Gobber, you can go see at his stall. And there are all three of Toothless's children that do not have
Yes.
a set time that they come out.
The baby nightlights.
That the public knows about. So you have Pouncer, Rough Runner, and Dart. And they come out for about
10 minutes.
7 to 10 minutes. I think the last time we saw them, it was just under 8 minutes. So it might depend on like weather and, I don't know. I'm not a baby dragon babysitter.
Sure.
But I do have to say that all of those interactions and the entertainment and life that they have brought to Isle of Berk in terms of, and I'm just going to say meeting Toothless and friends, because that's part of it too, like getting to see all of that. Top notch. I just wanted to give a special shout out to the additional entertainment that you get to experience while you're there.
We were talking at the beginning of the show about how many videos we had up from Epic Universe. And we have full interactions from seeing Rough Runner and Pouncer, the two baby nightlight dragons that are full-blown walk-around baby dragons that interact with a Viking friend or a dragon racer in training. And it is surreal. Like, I'm going to go out on a limb and tell you guys that Berk, the Isle of Berk, is everything Star Wars Galaxy's Edge wishes it was.
Ooh.
It is
Dragon burn.
But remember
You're not wrong.
But remember when Galaxy's Edge was announced and it's like this brand new immersive land in the world of Star Wars, and you're going to see creatures and you're going to see characters and you're going to see droids and all this happen. And then it opened and you don't really get a whole lot of that. Every once in a while you get, Chewie and Rey and Kylo Ren and a couple of stormtroopers, but you're not getting like citizens of Batu walking around. Like here you get Vikings are everywhere. And these nightlight dragons are the most technologically advanced walk around things I've seen to date. They are so cool. And then you get to meet Toothless, you get to meet Hiccup, you get to meet Astrid, you get to meet Gobber. And the dragon, there's little dragon houses everywhere. and there's dragons poking their tails out, and the tails are moving, and the dragon heads are moving, and there's a giant ice dragon that blows cold air at you.
So many
It is-
dragons.
everywhere you look, there's something moving and something alive in How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk, and they deserve all the props for absolutely knocking this land out of the park.
100%. I'm obsessed. But there's one last thing we need to talk
One more.
about.
Yep. And speaking of emotional or magical crier,
Who? Me?
you by going to watch the Untrainable Dragon show. A new dragon arrives on Berk, and the Vikings think they have met their match. Hiccup, Toothless, and Astrid help solve the mystery of the untrainable dragon in this spectacular live show. Go ahead, Danny.
Holy dragon. I walked into this show being like, that's going to be really cool to see Toothless fly with Hiccup on his back, and I do like a good stage show. This is me.
Cue the clouds. Cue the music. Cue Toothless flying out with Hiccup on his back, and then cue the magical crying.
Oh my gosh. So I have Ray-Ban Meta, my prescription Ray-Ban Meta glasses, which I'm not wearing just because I don't want the light right now to be
Showing.
bouncing off. But I wear them a lot, and I was wearing them during the show. So I thought I would film that moment. And as soon as Hiccup appeared, the clouds parted, and Hiccup and Toothless appeared, I immediately just start sobbing. Like I was trying to hold back that cry because I just had tears just like coming down my face, making streaks in the salty face that I had.
Oh, she was bawling.
Bill always likes to say, "You gonna make it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think so." But I am obsessed with this show. If we got a chance to see this, I wanted to see it. This is the equivalent of, I would say, Festival of the Lion King at Disney's Animal Kingdom.
Okay.
Because I don't think that Universal has a show that would...
The only other show
equate.
I can think of that they do that's pretty good is the Born Suntacular.
This is
It's not the same.
this
But
is
that's a really solid stage show.
This is 1,000 times better than that.
I agree. I agree. But that's a really solid
Oh yeah,
stage
it's a
show.
solid stage show, but it's magical. It's live entertainment. There's dancing. There's animatronics. There's dragons. It's a feel-good show. It's just so magical. I'm obsessed with it. At the last time we watched it, on our last day there, I turned to Bill and I go, I had tears in my eyes and I go, now I'm sad. I don't know when I'm going to get to watch this again. And he was like, oh my gosh.
We'll be back. Don't
I
worry.
know.
We'll be back.
Okay, so we know how I feel about this show. How do you feel about this show?
Absolutely love it. The main song is a little on the corny side,
I love corn.
but yes, it has the juice. It's a little bit on the corny side, but when you go to see a Broadway show, there's a lot of songs that are on the corny side. The one thing, and this is by no means going to change my opinion on it, but the one thing that kind of stood out that made me giggle a little bit is that How to Train Your Dragon takes place like way in the past with the Vikings, and there's this epic music with these drummers and like the trumpets are burr, 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 and then these two boom, 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 and then these two Vikings come out and they're like holding current day microphones singing. I'm like,
They're like
it
they're
looks
like
weird.
this. Hang on. Here we are, together we stand. And
It's so weird.
it's like you couldn't get them a Britney mic or something.
No, not even a Britney mic, but just like one of the Broadway ones where it's like on their forehead or like the little onesie that they tape on their cheek, like so you can like use your hands.
I just assumed that a Britney mic would be like cheaper.
But those are so big and bulky though.
Yeah, but it's better than...
But I think that would even look weirder if they had one of those giant ones that came across like the Backstreet Boys.
Well, I guess I just don't know how much like a Broadway type mic would be.
I mean, it's a $7 billion theme park. I mean, it could have spared some expense, right?
They have dragons. Those are expensive to take care of.
But like for me as somebody who nitpicks a little bit, I that kind of took me out of it a little bit. But the show itself is incredible. The live singing is awesome. The dragon puppets are crazy impressive. The dancing, the singing, the
dragon babies,
the dragon babies, but the interaction between the human actors on stage and the puppets and the video screens in the background is really impressive. There's one scene that they kind of interact with what's happening on the screen seamlessly. It's really cool. And then obviously the grand moment, which I never thought was going to be right near the beginning. I was totally not expecting it. When Hiccup and Toothless fly out and Hiccup is on Toothless's back, soaring above your head, and with that How to Train Your Dragon music that I was talking about blaring, and it's just like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like, he's soaring above your head, this gigantic animatronic flying Toothless with Hiccup on his back that lands on the stage like it has tendons and limbs and joints.
And ankles.
It is so impressive. And then Hiccup hops off, and it is so cool.
Also, like Bill said, he thinks some of the songs are like cheesy and corny.
Doesn't make it bad.
I love cheese. I love corn. Give me magical tears. Make me cry. That's what I... And like, but you have to have the right like combo to make me feel it. Like I feel it in my heart of hearts. And like, oh, I love that show.
I do want to tell one quick story before we move on, because we do need to
Are you going to talk about...
Start getting moving. So we went to one showing. What did we see it? 4 times? 5 times over the times that we went? We went to one show.
We saw, I don't know, 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. So we went to the show, and we're sitting in the theater, and it's about to start, and it said, Toothless is off on an adventure. He's not going to be appearing in the show. You're like, no, because that's like the coolest part.
Not me, but like the whole crowd was like, no.
So when Toothless flies out, there's like clouds on the big LED screens that are around the theater, and then there's fog that comes from the ceiling, so it looks like Toothless flies through the fog and the clouds,
like he appears from nowhere
to appear. And when Toothless wasn't coming out, and it was like their B mode of this show, they straight up fishbowled the theater with fog to the point where we were like, I can't see anything right now.
I was like, are we gonna be
It's
evacuated?
like, is this an error? Like, it was completely full of fog. Like it was like Halloween Horror Nights times 10.
My brain started going, if people start getting up and trying to exit, I'm staying where I am
because
I don't want to be
get
trampled.
Yeah, exactly. And then the funniest thing happened. So the fog starts clearing out, and we're sitting like down near the front on the aisle, and then you see Hiccup running down the stairs next to us and stops right in front of us, and he does like this pose like he would at the end of the main song where he gets off of Toothless, and like Danny's doing right now, and he goes, that was amazing, thanks Toothless.
And starts waving.
He looks
to
the back of the theater, laughing, waving to the Toothless that totally wasn't there, and it was so funny that even B mode made this show memorable for me, and that was awesome.
Oh my gosh, the rest of the rest of the day, anytime we would do something fun, I'd turn to Bill and go, "That was amazing! Bye, Toothless."
It was so funny.
I get it. If you haven't seen the show and it's your first time seeing it totally like goes with the show. But the fact that we had seen it multiple times and then he appeared as though from nowhere and was like, that was amazing.
So then we figured out that they fishbowled us to basically hide Hiccup from running down the stairs for the most part. But
he was great. They're all
it was
so
awesome.
great.
It was great. It was so much fun. Can't recommend that show enough.
So Isle of Berk is...
they rocked it.
Like to the point where I'm like, how do I get a once a week job there with my extra day off?
Honestly.
So, yeah, I don't think they hire for that, but I've definitely considered it.
Amazing.
Before we move on to our next world, Also, How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk, we could talk about for probably a whole episode, a whole day, a whole
Literally,
year.
we have been.
But I did want to point out that we did leave one thing out for Dark Universe because we did not go to it and because they just added it to the app since the last time I checked yesterday. It is meeting the Frankenstein, the monster, and the bride.
Got it.
So we did not get to do that. So that is, if you're thinking, why didn't we talk about that? That just got listed on the app, and we were only talking about things that are listed on the app. We never got to do it.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about it. So we're going to move on to the next
When
world.
we were there, it wasn't in the app, like Danny said, and it was just kind of like you had to be in line or near the area at the right time for it to happen.
Yeah. So everything we're talking about is listed in the app. That's how we structured this.
Well, it is time to let's go over to Super Nintendo World. From the fun of Mario Kart to careening through Donkey Kong Country, experience all the interactive excitement of Super Nintendo World. And this is probably the land I was originally most excited to see. Danny's got one of our power-up bands. Ba-ding, ba-ding. It already exists in one of the Asian parks, and it exists in California at Universal Hollywood. However, the Super Nintendo World that is now open at Universal Epic Universe here in Orlando is the largest of any of the... Woo! Wah!
If you're listening, I'm playing with a little
Danny's playing with toys. For those of you listening on the audio podcast, this doesn't help you at all.
I'm sorry.
But yes, Super Nintendo World is at Epic Universe is the biggest of the 3 existing Super Nintendo Worlds right now. And there is the first one, I believe. No, it's not the first one to have Donkey Kong Country, but it's the first one in the United States to have Donkey Kong Country. Walking into Super Nintendo World was surreal. First of all, you walk through the portal and you're going up an escalator, which is essentially one of the green warp pipes. You're killing it with the sound effects. It's like
I'm so bad at sound
effects. You're not great at those.
I'm allowed to try.
Try it again. that was better. That was better. Good job. She listens. She takes direction.
No, I sound like a bird.
I mean, that's kind of what that sounds like. It's a... Yeah. So, all right. Anyway.
That's not what I hear.
Stop interrupting me.
I hear...
We have podcast to do.
Fine.
Was it TJ Khaled? Super Nintendo World is amazing. As somebody who grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, and got the original NES for Christmas when I was like 4, Super Mario and Nintendo have been a part of my life the entire time, as far back as I can remember. And the iconic music, the characters, whether it be the piranha plants, whether it be the Goombas or the turtles and the turtle shells and the coins and everything that you remember from all the games from the NES to the Nintendo Switch 2, which comes out soon. Not a sponsor, but we'll take one if you want.
I wish.
The iconic characters of Nintendo, walking into that land for the first time, hearing the classic Nintendo, the Super Mario Brothers music blaring in the background and looking around and seeing the coins spinning and the giant question mark blocks and the bricks and the piranha plants diving at you. And it was just like, oh my gosh, this is real. And the first time I walked through there during the team member preview, I legitimately got emotional. And Danny has been talking about...
Magical crier.
I wasn't magically crying per se, but I was definitely like in my feels.
Magically crying.
For sure.
Inside.
Just seeing all this stuff that I've known and it's been a part of my life for 30 plus years. It was absolutely incredible, but also a little bit overwhelming because everything in that land is moving. When you walk in, everything around you is spinning and moving and dancing around, and the music is loud, and there's so much visually to look at. You got Bowser's Castle, you got Peach's Castle, you've got the Yoshi's Adventure Ride, which we'll talk about in a minute. All these games you can play, and it's just holy stimulation when you walk into Super Nintendo World. But it is so cool. So cool.
I will say that I definitely grew up with like these video games, and I want to say I wasn't probably as into them in our household. We just like didn't have as many like gaming systems.
Sure.
And I think because as a we had gaming systems, but we just were a family of all girls. We had like more so like board games and like different book series we would get.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, we just didn't have it as much. And like things that you played at like boy sleepovers and stuff, girls don't.
Yeah.
Or at least not the girls I hung out with.
Did each other's makeup.
And talk about boys.
Talk
Like
about boys.
who were probably at another sleepover playing these games.
We talked about digital Italian plumbers.
Exactly. You were talking about boys too, digital Italian plumbers. So I did grow up loving these, but definitely in a different way than you did.
Sure.
You were thinking about 2 boys, Mario and Luigi. I was thinking of 5 boys, Backstreet Boys.
Okay.
So
I was wondering where you're going with
you were
that.
like, where are you going with that? But oh my gosh, it is so wonderful, amazing, definitely overstimulating. And I feel like probably by the 3rd visit, I felt a little more normal going in, because when you walk in, it's like every one of your senses is punched in
The face.
like eyes, ears, mouth, nose.
Yeah.
Like everything. And also it's supposed to feel like you're in the game. So you're smaller than everything.
Correct. Yeah.
So everything you look at, you're like, I'm a little video game character in a really big world. And it's absolutely perfection. It's just perfection. But let's talk about that perfection and how we feel about what they have to offer.
Absolutely. So go ahead.
So first we're going to talk about the attractions, and then we are going to break down the characters. And the entertainment is just one thing, but we're going to break down what those pieces are. So first off, for attractions, Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge. Ride through iconic courses, throw shells, and collect digital coins to beat Team Bowser. You've never experienced Mario Kart like this.
Mario Kart like this.
No.
Because Mario Kart is probably one, if not the most iconic Mario game franchise. And so to base a theme park attraction off of Mario Kart was a huge undertaking. How I would describe this ride is if you've been on any, dark ride at Walt Disney World, like Winnie the Pooh, or if you've been on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride back in the day, or anything like that. Look, a dark ride, slow dark ride on a track, or Men in Black at Universal Studios. The ride itself is just like that. It's slow moving through, big sets, big colorful sets. And the way that Mario Kart comes alive is via virtual reality.
Yes.
So when you're in the line, you get to put on these really fashionable Mario helmets.
So cool.
Which even somebody who has a giant 7 3/4 New Era head like me, it does fit on here. New Era is a brand of hat, a fitted hat.
I know that, but that's
Everybody knows what New Era hats are. It even fits me, so don't worry about that. You put it on, and it's like this funny little plastic helmet that has a big M on it, and it's really adorable. But everyone has to wear one, or else you're not going to be able to experience the attraction as it's created.
right.
And you go through this incredible queue, which takes place in Bowser's Castle. The details are impeccable. You can go watch our video from our Epic Universe visit.
Yes.
It's where we kind of highlight a little bit more about the details, but there are so many fun Easter eggs and things to look at in that queue. So definitely go check that out. But once you get on the ride, which is very similar setup to Men in Black, where you get in, but when you pull your restraint down, there's a steering wheel on it with 2 buttons, and those buttons are used to fire the turtle shells, just like you would in Mario Kart. But you don't see the turtle shells unless you put on the virtual reality, which is attached to the ride vehicle. So when you get on the vehicle, you pull your restraint down, the virtual reality lens actually magnetizes to the helmet that you put on.
Yes.
And so the virtual reality lens is attached to the ride vehicle, which then magnets to your helmet so you can fully experience Mario Kart.
Yes.
So when you're going through the ride, there's all kinds of really cool stuff happen. I want to ride it once without the virtual reality just to like see all the sets and how everything kind of works. But there's all kinds of big screens and physical sets that are doing things around you, but on your virtual reality lens, there you see the other players from Mario Kart. So you see like all the other characters driving alongside you, and so you've got to shoot your turtle shells and you try to collect coins, and
You have to collect more turtle shells.
it's super fun. And then your goal is to collect at least 100 coins, which then you would win the Universal Cup, which is the trophy at the end of the race.
And beat Team Bowser.
So it is super cool, super fun. I wouldn't say it's my favorite ride at Universal Epic Universe, but being able to be immersed in the world of Mario Kart was really cool. So I'm going to deem that magical.
So Bill has me hooked on something. I never played Mario Party
Yeah.
as a kid.
Yeah.
And then one night Bill was like, "Hey girl.
Oh, no.
Hey girl. Have you
Waluigi. Daisy.
He was like, "Have you ever played Mario Party?" And I was like, "No, what's that?" And now
Just you wait.
he's turned me into a party girl because every night I'm like, "What do you want to do? You want to play a game?" And all I want to do is play Mario Party.
And usually we play 20 to 25 turn games, and then it's like, do you want to add turns? And it's like, it's like 2 a.m.
Because we always get to a point where it's like, this game could go either way.
Yeah.
You have 7,000 coins and you need to spend them.
and you stole them
and
all from me last time. Yeah, you did.
Nuh-uh.
You stole all of my coins.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, you did.
Nuh-uh. It wasn't me.
But you did eventually.
No, it was like Wario who did the chance time, and then he gave me the coins.
But they ended up with you.
But I
So
didn't steal them.
basically,
I was given them.
with a middleman, you stole them.
So
Anyway,
we have been loving playing Mario Party and just kind of adding that into our stuff. We've also played other Mario games, Mario Golf, and just like all sorts of different games that we've been playing over the past years together. And so going on Mario Kart has been very, very fun. I will say that I was sort of leaning towards Tragical for this. And the reason for that is because I have ridden it 3 times. It has only kept track of my score once.
oh, true.
And I'm sorry, but that bugged me. I want to know what my score is. So if you can only keep track of 1 out of 3, come on. Why would you do that to me, Mario Kart?
Yeah. Can you grab my thing? Yeah, that.
So, and I like made sure I was scanning it correctly. The guy, like the people were standing there too. And I get it was technical rehearsals, but also like if that was my only day there and I played Mario Kart and you didn't count it, I would be sad.
Let me ride again.
Yeah, let me ride again. But the other thing is, other reason I was starting to lean towards Tragical is because it's kind of hard to figure out how to ride.
Mm-hmm.
Because normally if you're driving the car, you go this way, you turn this way, it goes this way, you turn that way, it goes that way. But you actually have to turn your helmet and point to what you want to look at
And shoot at.
and then shoot. And so it does take getting used to. So it's almost like you have to ride it a couple times to get the hang of it.
It's like learning how to play a game.
Yeah. And also, every time I'm done, I feel like I've been crossing my eyes somehow. I think I just get so focused on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm like I'm doing the whole ride and I'm just like, oh, what am I doing? Like, whoa, that was a fun ride. But overall, I went with Magical because this ride is so much fun. The rewritability is huge. And I think that something like it not picking up my score, I think it was more of like a, hey, we're still getting this park up and running thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that you can ride it a bunch of times and you can try to beat your score. It's always fun. The sets are incredible. And just overall, it's a good time. So yeah, I would say Magical.
Yeah. In our big Epic Universe video, we detail a little bit more about how everything kind of works and show you some things. But what I asked Danny to hand me is my power-up band. We play as Mario and Yoshi in Mario Party, so naturally we bought the Mario and Yoshi power-up bands. But this thing is how you keep track of your score. So on the ride in the middle of the steering wheel, there's like a big thing that you're supposed to tap this to track your score on Mario Kart. So that's why what Danny was talking about tracking your score. This thing links to your Universal Orlando app, where you can track your score on Mario Kart, and then you can collect coins and have challenges and all that stuff around the area of Super Nintendo World. It's such a fun, cool, immersive experience, game type situation that you can play while you're at Super Nintendo World.
And if you are watching on YouTube, I'm just going to show on my phone.
Yeah.
You get to have like your name and you get to pick your character. So that's my team, Team Yoshi. And it keeps track of your coins. And then you can see like which stickers you need to have on there. And so it's really fun. Like you can always go back and continue playing. So yeah, overall for both of us for Mario Kart, we are going to go with Magical.
We are.
So the next attraction we're going to talk about is Minecart Madness. So Minecart Madness. Help Donkey Kong protect the golden banana on Minecart Madness, a thrilling family coaster that appears to jump the track and perform other silly feats from Donkey Kong Country video games.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, you go.
Okay. I had so much hope for this ride. I had so much hope for this ride because I very closely followed the progress of Epic Universe being built. Shout out to the great Alicia Stella for the amazing coverage that she has provided over the last 4 or 5 years during the construction of this park. Like, I've been watching her videos since it was a dirt pad, and now it's this most incredible theme park I've ever been to. It's amazing. So shout out to her, Alicia Stella. Follow her at Theme Park Stop. Go check out her podcast and her videos and all that. I had so much potential. This ride had so much potential. And the thought of being able to ride this really cool coaster system where it looked like you were on a cartoony track and you were jumping over parts of the broken track. It was just like, this is going to be incredible. I cannot wait to ride this. And then we got on it. And it is not the worst ride I've ever been on. But when you were on that ride, you think Big Thunder Mountain is rough at Magic Kingdom? This ride is like a rougher Big Thunder Mountain with more uncomfortable restraints, where basically you each have the pull down lap bar restraints, but there's your legs are kind of in the middle of metal bars essentially. So when you are getting shaken around and tossed around because you're on a crazy cartoony broken track, it doesn't feel good. And we went on it twice because the first time we were like, ow, like Dr. Donkey Kong, the chiropractor, it just got to us. And so we decided to give it another shot. And it was just as rough. I did not enjoy the sensation of riding this ride. It was rough for me. My knees were banging on this metal thing, and while it was fun and themed and it looked really cool, the ride itself was not my favorite. So with that said, it pains me to deem something Nintendo tragical, but I'm going to head and say Minecart Madness was tragical.
So, I feel this way only stronger.
Okay.
I think that this is the worst ride at Epic Universe.
Wow.
And I say that with my whole chest because my knees were not banging around. I got short legs. My knees were fine. But this ride, it just felt like an afterthought for me. The outside of it is beautiful. There's one really not very cool animatronic Donkey Kong that just does this. He pushes down. I'm sorry. Across the way, you made like 1,000 animatronics that look like real living things. And that's what we did with that for a brand new coaster. That's not even like my biggest gripe, because if it was a fun coaster, I could deal with that. This coaster feels like a chiropractic visit gone wrong. This coaster feels like you're actually getting into a car accident. This coaster, you can't even really see the jumping over the tracks very well. And this coaster is so rough that I would say that it is not fun. It is not a fun coaster. And I am incredibly disappointed with this coaster. And I was so excited about this coaster. I love coasters. Put me on a coaster. This ride, I don't know how y'all didn't go back to the drawing board. This is the worst ride at Epic Universe. Hands down. Tragical. Put it up on the screen. Tragical. Get it out of my face.
Scathing review from Danny.
Get it out of my face. Like, I was, the first time we went on it, and there are two really cool animatronics in the line, right?
Yeah.
There were two, and I was like, we went on, I was so psyched. And I want to say this ride is also really short, and they just did so much damage in like a minute. I do not understand how they let that ride come out. You're not supposed to feel like you're in an actual car accident on a ride.
It hurt, for sure.
Like, I should not need to book a visit with my chiropractor.
Because like at least when you ride,
didn't, but
at least when you ride Big Thunder Mountain, your legs aren't banging against anything because it's just that one big lap bar that pulls down for everybody, and so you don't feel it as much, to be honest with you. But in Donkey Kong, like my knees and my legs were banging against a metal restraint the entire time. And it was incredibly uncomfortable.
I also just want to say that I am not the only one who feels like this. Bill obviously does. When you watch people on the ride, people look like they're
shook,
trying to figure out why they're in pain. Mm-hmm. And then so we had snacks there when we were just like chilling. I constantly heard people walking by because we were right by the exit. Wow, why did that hurt? I think I cracked my neck on that ride. Like, all these comments that were not like, wow, let's do that again. It was like,
it wasn't just us.
Why was I just bounced and tossed and cracked around by that coaster? So, yeah, we're going to move on. But in my humble opinion, it is right now one of the rides with the highest weights when you go. I might even skip it if you have stuff that you want to do.
Sure, yeah. And it's going to be a long wait, too. It's one of the longest waits in the park.
Or if you prefer to have your skull and your skeleton knocked around as though a giant monkey was thrashing you against a cage, then go on that.
Yeah, there you go. All right, moving on to the final ride in Super Nintendo World, and that is Yoshi's Adventure. Take a ride with Yoshis and help them find 3 glowing eggs in Yoshi's Adventure, an enchanting, family-friendly attraction that takes you on a journey through familiar Mushroom Kingdom landscapes. Do you want to take this one? Because I went first in the last one. You go. You take this one.
Because we didn't just hear me yap for 6 minutes about that.
Go
But
for
sure. I went with I went with magical with this one. The reason for that is this is the Super Nintendo version of the People Mover at Magic Kingdom. It is slow. You get to see the whole park at a different angle. It's fun. It's joyful. It makes you sit for a few minutes. And everything is happening around you. So it really immerses you in the land. So I would say that people who don't like to slow down may not like this ride, but I think that you very much need to in a park like this because Super Nintendo World is glorious. And you need to look at all of the things. So for Yoshi's Adventure, I'm going to say magical.
All right. Well, I am going to say the opposite.
Because you don't like to slow down.
See, I don't dislike to slow down, but I just don't really love this style of ride. I love the People Mover because you're kind of zooming along, whereas this, you are going on the People Mover at Haunted Mansion speed, and you're going
your favorite ride,
right? But it's outside. For the most part. So it's going to be a hot ride for sure for most of the year and most of the day. Whereas Mansion, it's an AC break, so it's great. But you don't really see a ton at certain points. You can look around and you can see Super Nintendo World, but I wish there was more ride-specific stuff that you got to see rather than just looking at the land. And I know that's kind of what People Mover is, where you're riding inside of other attractions. But I wish there was more than just a couple of moments where there's like a bird that like comes down and tries to peck you. And there's one indoor portion that's kind of cute with a bunch of different toads and different colored Yoshi eggs. And then there's a thwomp that comes down right above your head. But other than that, I didn't really remember seeing much that's ride specific. And going really slow in the heat is not ideal for most of the year in Florida. And so that's why I deemed it tragical.
All right. I mean, I'll give it to you. I really liked that ride. I think that it allows you to slow down and see the park. But you know what? I think that's a ride that we should go on again together.
Sure. I mean, I will go on it. It definitely won't be my favorite and it won't be a priority. But it was adorable and it was cute and there was lots of colors and you could, like Danny said, you get to see a whole different side of Super Nintendo World, different angles that you can't walk in. But when I was on it, it was hot. It was very toasty, sitting in that vehicle in the open sun. So I was not thrilled about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, those are our 3 attractions for Super Nintendo World. We have one entertainment offering, and that is meeting the characters. So I'm going to read all the characters you can meet, and then we're just going to touch about those.
Yeah, let's fly through it.
So say hello to Donkey Kong Country's most famous resident, Donkey Kong himself. Meet and pose for photos with him at Super Nintendo World. There's no mistaking those famous caps and mustaches. Meet Mario and Luigi and have your picture taken together in Super Nintendo World. Enjoy an audience with Princess Peach in her gazebo and take your photo with the Mushroom Kingdom's loveliest character. Toad may be small, but he's got a big smile and a big heart. Come meet Toad and snap a photo with him in the Mushroom Kingdom. So I will say that I deemed this magical, even though we didn't participate in any meet and greets. We got to see everybody except for Donkey Kong.
Yeah, because he wasn't meeting.
I will say that these characters are what I wish meet and greets were with costumed characters. Their eyes move, they talk, their mouths move.
Yeah, they've got those cool articulating heads.
They move more. I wish we could have seen Donkey Kong. I wish we could have seen Donkey Kong.
That's me. You're good.
I wish something's going on.
Just keep going.
I wish we could have seen Donkey Kong. All the other characters we got to view, and we had other we had other things that we needed to get done, but we got to view them long enough to see how magical it was for people to be meeting these characters. So overall, I'm saying magical because it really helps bring this area to life.
I completely agree. Absolutely magical. Seeing Mario and Luigi come out and for the first time, I've never seen them as a meet and greet character anywhere, because obviously Nintendo didn't exist anywhere until right now. Their eyes blink, their mouths move, they have voices that they can say the phrases. It's super fun. Toad is the funniest thing I've ever seen in a theme park.
Sassy thing.
Oh my god, he's so little, and the way his character costume moves and articulates, like he just kind of like bounces and moves around. It's hysterical. And Peach I found kind of underwhelming. I don't remember if her mouth moved or not. I don't remember if she said anything, but
she talked.
I do think her eyes blinked for sure. But then she just kind of does like the thing with her arms, like.
But she looks exactly like she does in the video game.
Like she fell out of the video game for sure.
Yeah, they all do.
But I thought it was really cool that you can meet all four of those characters. Generally, Mario and Luigi, and then Toad in a separate set.
Five of the characters.
They meet in the same area, whereas Peach meets in her gazebo up in her castle right when you walk into the land, and then Donkey Kong meets underneath his treehouse in front of a giant stack of bananas in Donkey Kong Country.
Who we never saw.
Correct, but we know he's there.
All right, so we're gonna go leave the pipe. Can you make the pipe sound?
Yeah, you nailed it.
And we're going to head over to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic. Encounter fantastic beasts in magical Paris and explore the British Ministry in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic. So here we have one attraction and one form of entertainment. Mm-hmm. So if you want to go ahead and hit us with the attraction.
Yeah. So the attraction is Harry Potter and the Battle of the Ministry. Travel by Metro Flu to the British Ministry of Magic and join Harry, Ron, Hermione as the adventure awaits at the trial of Dolores Umbridge in Harry Potter and the Battle of the Ministry. As you saw on that screen, if you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/a-couple-of-park-hoppers. If you're not, go subscribe there. Watch our podcast because we do put stuff up on the screen. It's fun to watch us
some visual
do this show. But as you can see on the concept art here in the Battle of the Ministry, this place, this Ministry of Magic, was literally recreated. And it is a scale to which I've never seen in a ride queue in any theme park ever. You walk into the Metro Flu station, so because you're traveling from Wizarding Paris to the British Ministry of Magic via the Flu Network, like the diagonally. You don't want to go there.
Right.
But when you throw the flu powder and like the green flame and stuff pops up and then you travel via the Flu Network, you're literally doing that. And it is such a cool effect. You go in, and as you step forward, there's a big puff of green fog, and you walk through this really cool green, black, kind of dark lit hallway. And then another green puff comes up in your face. And when you walk through that green puff, you're in the Ministry of Magic. And it's a really, really well done effect. And when you walk into this Ministry of Magic, it is so impressive. It is shiny. It is gorgeous. And it is gigantic. And basically, you know the scene with Harry and Dumbledore and Voldemort in the films, in that big, shiny black room. That's where you end up. And it is, I can't even put into words how impressive this is. You could go watch our video, and we have some video of the queue. It is absolutely incredible. And that's just the queue. And then you go through, you meet a couple of new characters. You meet Higgledy, which is a former elf. Right?
House elf.
Elf of Dolores Umbridge, who is trying to, help you along the way.
She's part of helping of Dolores Umbridge standing trial.
Correct. She's standing trial for all of the wrongdoings, which finally, And so you're going to the British Ministry of Magic to attend the trial of Dolores Umbridge. When you get on the attraction, you are essentially getting into what we would say is like a Tower of Terror vehicle. The ride is nothing like Tower of Terror, so don't worry about that. But the vehicle itself is elevator style with the same 2-row seating that, or multiple row seating that Tower of Terror has. When you start moving, you are going into what I would call the most impressive thing I think I've ever seen at a theme park. Just the pure scale of the show scenes and the screen-based technology is gigantic. And the animatronics, genuinely thought there was real people in there. They have animatronic Death Eaters, and one of them is shooting spells at you. And I thought, like, there's no way it was, but I thought for a minute they legitimately put a team member in there because the movement was so fluid, and it does not look like any sort of animatronic or robot or anything that you've ever seen. And the switch between animatronic and screen show scenes is crazy cool. And some of the effects that we saw in there were never before seen. So with that said, I am absolutely calling this magical. This was the first time, and Danny can back me up on this. This is the first time since I rode Rise of the Resistance for the first time where I literally gasped several times during this ride, said, "Oh my God," several times during this ride, and my jaw was on the floor when we were done. Absolutely incredible. Magical, magical, magical.
So I try to read the Potter books, the Harry Potter series, usually once a year. I've kind of been slacking on that. I do just want to say briefly, we don't support J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, she sucks.
She's a horrible human being, and it's incredible that she created a world that is completely different than what she writes about. Like, what she wrote about is completely different as the person that she exists as. So we just want to...
I hate that we have to give her credit for that.
Yeah. I just do want to say... I don't want to go too far into that, but just we want to say that we do not support her in any way. We don't agree with anything she has ever said, any of her views. Mm-hmm. And so just want to make that completely clear just in case anybody was ever curious when we talk about Harry Potter. So, as for this ride that Universal has created, the wonderful people at Universal, I have to agree with everything Bill said. Walking into the Ministry of Magic, going through the Flu Network, which honestly looks it's way cooler in person than it is on video, and it still looks pretty cool on video. Walking in there is just jaw-dropping. The queue itself can probably hold, 5-6 hours worth of people.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So
if they wanted to, yeah.
So, oh my gosh. Thank you, Universal. Florida Sun. People want to line up. You need that line space where people can be in the AC. And the queue itself is like incredible. Animatronics, so much to see. Just overall incredible. And like Bill said, the ride itself is... I couldn't believe what I was seeing. There were parts where I was like, wow, that seems pretty dangerous for a team member to be up there.
It's next level.
And like my brain felt like it was like kind of in quicksand or walking through mud, because my brain went, oh, wow, that's really dangerous for that team member to be up there and just do it. And then my brain clicked and went, that's not a person. And their use of giant sets, pristine screens, incredible animatronics, timing, they pulled out all of their tricks in the playbook for this.
So many tricks that it has some running issues.
Yeah, so...
So It's not a perfect attraction by any means because of the technological advancements and how much downtime it has, but that's a product of time. You remember how much Rise of the Resistance would shut down every single day for hours a day. But over time, they're going to fix the kinks and they're going to figure it out. And this ride is going to be next level for years to come.
So what my understanding is, the way that the ride vehicle works is how you're in a Tower of Terror type vehicle and you're sitting down. You have like just one seatbelt over your waist. There are sensors for safety on the floor and in the seats. So you try to get out of the vehicle, jump onto, people are going to, they lose their brains when they walk into a theme park, it feels like. Let's just say somebody did try to do that. The ride would stop. But what was happening was because some of the ride jolted you a little bit, it was stopping the ride, even though nobody was getting up. So if you were leaning over to see a scene closer, the seat was thinking that you were trying to climb out of the ride. And so there was a lot of kinks that they were working out in terms of making sure that there wasn't any issue with the safety features thinking that something was wrong when everything was perfect. So they've done a great job of putting us into an environment that is very safe, making sure that there are safety features to keep us safe, and then adjusting as needed as they're trying to put people through this ride. And my understanding is, last I saw, somebody said that they believe that they're at about 75% of all the ride vehicles running. So that's good. That's really good, I think. And I think that they're going to be, exactly where they need to be as the weeks go on. And just overall, that ride, again, is unlike anything that exists at a theme park. It just doesn't. It doesn't. It also, if you don't like this ride, or at least appreciate it for what it is, I will look you dead in the eyes and say, you don't like theme parks then. Why do you like theme parks?
Because it's not comparable to other rides. It's its own thing.
It
stands alone.
This is all of the magic of theme parks combined into one big bag of tricks. So magic, will you? So
Good. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, so I am going to deem this magical.
Woo.
And I also think that bringing to life the stories from the wizarding world to life in another way is so absolutely incredible. I also think there's something very special about seeing these animatronics that are a lot more lifelike and not just on a screen, because we don't get the walk around characters. Like How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk has Hiccup walking around in Astrid. I know they're cartoons, and so you can cast them, but you don't get that with Harry Potter. So getting to see the animatronics that actually look like they're right in front of you,
that was really
amazing.
Cool. That was really cool. And I wanted to shout out one thing. When Danny and I were going to our preview days, Harry Potter and the Battle of the Ministry was running on an atrocious virtual queue. It was so bad. The technology in that virtual queue system is horrible. It was almost impossible to get. We got really lucky a couple of times, but you had to be like staring at your phone all day for this little virtual queue button to light up. And then there was like a trick where you had to be inside where you're toggling between the party size. And it was a total mess. There was a couple times where we completely whiffed and we didn't get it. But fortunately, we were able to ride it twice. It was actually closed for a week before Epic Universe opened and then reopened under a standard line. So good on them for figuring that out. And the wait times have not been bad since the Epic Universe park opened officially on May 22nd. So shout out to them, the team that's working on this, probably endless nights trying to get everything all figured out and fixed to get as many people to experience this attraction as possible. So shout out to them, because it seems like the experience of getting on it is 1,000 times better than it was when we were going.
I also wanted to just, you said something that reminded me before we move on to the entertainment in the Wizarding World. Shout out to the Queen of Information, Alicia Stella. If you are listening right now or watching, head over to her Twitter account. She is about to start a Park Stop fundraiser. So go check that out. Make sure you're ready. Does amazing work.
Some really cool stuff.
Before I forget, I wanted to make sure you did that. So again, she's the Queen of Information. These kind of things we get to hear from her. I was just thinking about how some of this stuff we heard from her.
Yeah.
So head over there, go support her on that fundraiser because, again, amazing work. But we have one more thing here in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
We do, and that is Le Cirque Arcanu. Le Cirque Arcanu's ringmaster has stolen Newt Scamander's suitcase of fantastic beasts in their spectacular mix of live performers, amazing puppetry, and dazzling special effects. I had no idea what to expect when we went into Le Cirque Arcanu. And when you walk into Wizarding France through the Arch de Triomphe, when you walk down the main road of the area, there's a big red tent right in front of you. That is the entrance to Le Cirque Arcanu. It is a really cool stage show that is in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter at Epic Universe. I had no idea, like I said, what to expect. And there's a long winding queue where you feel like you're in like a classic circus tent. Almost feels like a Halloween Horror Nights queue that you're waiting in, which we waited a while in because there was a delay in the show starting. But that we're not going to harp on that. But there, when you go in, there's a loading area where you're kind of hanging out, and that's where the pre-show kind of starts. And there's some really cool effects in there. You see Newt Scamander's briefcase up on this table, and it opens up, and you have a character called a demiguise that comes out of his suitcase, which is also a suitcase that is held in your hand and moves around during the pre-show. Then it's placed on the table, and then this thing pops out of it. So it's a really cool effect. And then there's a lot of really cool digital effects and stuff in that pre-show as well. Then you go into the actual theater where the ringmaster, I think, is Ringmaster Scander, which is very similar to Newt Scamander. Not really sure why they chose that name. It's kind of confusing. But it's this guy who's the ringmaster of this circus who basically stole Newt Scamander's suitcase to try to put on a show with the Fantastic Beasts. And some of the effects in this show are amazing. There's some really cool, like, classic circus type acts. There's even somebody who pulls bubbles out of their pocket that, like, literally, like, reaches into, like, the pocket of their jacket and pulls out, like, a handful of soap. And they do these crazy tricks with bubbles, and it's amazing. And then there's classic trapeze, and there's classic, dancing and stuff like that from a circus. But then the show starts, and there's this incredible stage effects where you are essentially going into Newt Scamander's briefcase into the world of Fantastic Beasts, and the stage effects and like how you get in there. We won't spoil it for you because you should definitely go see it, but you end up in the world of Fantastic Beasts via this really cool stage transition, and totally blew my mind because you're in this kind of small theater, and then all of a sudden this crazy thing happens, and now you're in the world of Fantastic Beasts inside the suitcase. So I loved that. And then there's crazy big characters and amazing special effects and these incredible animatronics and puppets, and it was a really, really well done stage show that I had no expectations for, but we wanted to make sure that we did everything in Epic Universe before we did an episode like this. So we made it a point to go see it, and I would absolutely go see it again because I was totally impressed. So magical for me.
So I almost went the other way. I almost went tragical with this, and I'm going to explain why.
Go for it.
And surprise, I went magical. However, we waited for about 45 minutes in the line, which started to feel like, we were ready to make use of our time. When they take you into the pre-show room, I started to feel extremely claustrophobic, and I started to feel very antsy, and I started getting high heart rate notifications, which means that like, hey girl, you might have a panic attack in a minute. Like, be careful, because they kept telling people to like keep squeezing in. And I'm 5 feet tall, so it really felt like people were starting to like tower above me almost. And I didn't love that. I do think my hope is that if you go see it again, that there's not as much time of like smushing people in there.
There was definitely some technical difficulties that delayed the start of the show, and that's the reason why we were stuck in that queue for so long.
Well, we were stuck in the queue for like 45 minutes, and then I would say like the next one for another like 25 minutes or so, which again, technical rehearsals, but I started to feel very like, I might need to get out of here soon because I'm starting to feel a little like very claustrophobic. The other thing is that in that room is gorgeous. That pre-show room, I kept expecting things to appear in the rooms. Like they had these little like circus cages, and it was just screens. So I was like, I don't understand what's happening. Is this the show? Like, I didn't know where we were going with it. Then part of the pre-show started on our right side, and I will say that if you do not have a good spot, you can't see what's going on. People that are too close, they won't be able to see like over the stage. But they did have some cool effects in that, and then they brought us into the main room. I will also say that for a lot of the show, I felt like, where are we going with this? I couldn't tell what exactly what the plot was.
I'm also not super immersed in the Fantastic Beasts lore.
I should still be able to follow the plot pretty easy.
Totally.
But the show itself had so many cool effects, so much talent, so many cool Fantastic Beasts. I didn't love them not casting a Newt Scamander, that they had a screen of him. That felt a little like...
It was weird that they actually filmed it with Eddie Redmayne, which was a cool touch to have him in the show, but it was weird to have him digital and not just a cast actor.
I just felt
but that
like...
goes back to what you were saying about the Harry Potter characters. They're not going to cast Harry, Ron, and Hermione, and they're not going to cast Newt Scamander.
Yeah.
They're not.
It was just like nothing else in there was a screen. So when he appeared as a screen, it was like... you're a screen.
True,
like,
yeah.
And the story itself, it did feel a little disjointed. Very cool, an awesome journey. Just a little disjointed because I couldn't really tell where we were going with it, but definitely worth watching. So that's why I say I was like almost leaning towards Tragical, just because the pre-show made me feel like I wanted to leave, and then the show I couldn't tell where we were going. But the actual show itself was so impressive. I had to give it Magical. So, yeah. I can't say that it was better than The Untrainable Dragon. We saw The Untrainable Dragon 5 times and this once, if that tells you anything.
Fair, yeah.
So it's definitely worth seeing, and I would see it again because I want to see once they have worked all the kinks out. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how you felt about being in that room, but that definitely...
I didn't love it, but it's not going to determine how I would vote Magical or Tragical.
Yeah. No, I definitely get that. I just also think that the story felt pretty disjointed.
Yeah.
And so... but still really impressive. You can have not the best storyline and have an absolutely impressive show of talent and magic tricks and all sorts of stuff. So definitely worth seeing, 100%.
Absolutely. So we have covered all 4 portals at Universal Epic Universe, and we've got one more kind of more quicker thing to cover here as we are approaching 2 hours in this episode. So
we're going to run through these.
We're going to fly through it, but the last, but really the first part of Epic Universe that you encounter is Celestial Park. Now, the way Epic Universe is designed, it's not an exact hub and spoke design like Magic Kingdom, but it's more, I would say it's more kind of like a Magic Kingdom Epcot hybrid, where you you have the World Showcase, which is essentially these different lands that are around this big body of water. And it was almost as if they put a hotel where America is in the World Showcase. It's not an exact hub spoke design where you go in, it's like a perfect circle, and then the lands are this way and that way, like Adventureland, Tomorrowland, Fantasyland, yada yada. But Celestial Park is the main part of the park that you walk into.
See, in my brain, I always think of it like as a really big cul-de-sac also.
Kind of, yeah.
With all the different worlds with a big house at the end.
Right, sure, absolutely. But Celestial Park, as you can see in the concept art there, it is huge. It has a couple of bodies of water. There's some really beautiful fountains. There's a gigantic carousel, which we're going to cover in a second. And then there's also a roller coaster that's part of Celestial Park. So the main area of Celestial Park when you walk in is absolutely gorgeous. The plant life is not as grown as it will be because it was pretty relatively recently planted. But what is there is gorgeous. It is, they really did. Universal keeps harping on this phrase. We're going to put the park back in the theme park. And they really did add the plant life and the water fountains. And just, it really does feel like an amazing out of this world park area when you walk into Celestial Park through the Kronos and towards the middle of the park. There's just so much pretty scenery to essentially look at. But in the area of Celestial Park, which you can see more of in our video, youtube.com/a-couple-of-park-hoppers. Go watch our big epic video. It's pretty awesome. There's 3 attractions that we're going to cover in Celestial Park. There's lots of bars and restaurants and all that kind of stuff
Like
too.
we said, we've got lots of other stuff to dive into, but we're meat and potatoes today.
We don't deem that stuff magical or tragical yet.
Not yet.
But there are 3 attractions that are listed on the app and the website. But when you're in Celestial Park, you are journeying through the cosmic heart of Universal Epic Universe, a world between worlds where exciting rides and wondrous discoveries await. And the first thing that we're going to discuss is what's called Astronomica. Now, Astronomica is an interactive water play area with dancing fountains in Celestial Park. This giant compass star is a star map guiding explorers to the thrills of Universal Epic Universe and beyond.
So I was just going to jump in and say this is tragical. That's just
Sure.
I will say that I think that not adding some stuff so that the adults could get some sort of like mist or like, some sort of spray to cool down. Literally, it's probably like knee to waist length. And all it was a bunch of little kids running around in their clothes.
It's a gigantic splash pad.
Right.
Is what Astronomica is. Now, we only really saw it during the day and it wasn't working at the time.
We saw it once where it was working, I think.
One time on one of our visits. They finally opened it and it was working. But I have seen footage of this at night and it looks really cool. The water is all colored. Everything is bouncing around. It forms the compass shape on the ground. I've seen overhead footage. I've seen on the ground footage. And just it adds to the out of this world aesthetic of Celestial Park, but it also is significantly better at night. So I personally would deem it magical because it looks really cool and it adds a lot to that area.
So as much as I understand why you're saying magical, I am going to argue that the whole Celestial Park does that. Lights up, looks pretty. My argument is like, if we're using it to cool down, can we add a couple extra features for us?
I agree. It would only make it better.
Right. So, but I definitely see what you're saying. It adds to the ambiance. I just want it to be more of a cooling off factor if that's really what it's there for, which it seems like that's what it's there for. But
splash pads are generally made for children. for the most part.
But usually you see like some misters or something for the adults who are just standing on concrete. You can't let the adults cook while the kids boil.
Until we go to Disneyland in August and we go to the New Villas at Disneyland Hotel and go see the Steamboat Willie splash pad.
You mean the place that I'm going to sleep?
Yes.
I'm not really. I promise.
No, we're going to sleep at Grand California.
But if you can't find me. But yeah, so I think we agree to disagree with that, but it's also not something that we got to like play in, because when we went there were like 4 little kids in like their wet clothes running around, and I was like, probably isn't the place for us.
Yeah.
This is
we're going to keep walking.
We're going to keep walking. And that's also why we decided we were going to film to like show it. And I was like, we're not going to do that.
We're not putting,
people's kids on the internet.
No, definitely
so, not. But I do hope to see that also evolve. But speaking of revolve,
you take this one.
Constellation Carousel. On this cosmic carousel, the constellations themselves take physical form, enabling you and your family to ride celestial lions, dragons, bears, and more as your world in every direction. So, for me, I decided that this is a carousel. It does exactly what you want it to do. It has music. It has places for you to sit. You can even have adults both share one seat. It is accessibility friendly, so anybody can ride it. There's a space for wheelchairs. There's also spaces that don't go up and down. It plays different music, and then at night it lights up and basically turns into like a club constellation carousel. So I deemed this magical because it's doing exactly what it said it was going to do.
I didn't love it. It's a carousel, and just making so many faces. It's a carousel, but when I actually got to ride it, because visually it's beautiful. It looks amazing at night. It looks really cool during the day. The animals and the different characters, I guess, that you ride on are really unique. They're not it's not like a typical horse carousel. It's like celestial characters. Visually, I thought it looked awesome. When I rode it, I was completely underwhelmed.
Have you ever rode a carousel and been whelmed?
Sure. But here's the thing, though. When we were getting on it, we were told, hey, ride on one of these things in the smaller turntable and you spin more and you go around more and you go higher. And it didn't do that for me.
We probably did. The other ones probably do it even less.
It didn't do that for me. It was incredibly underwhelming, very slow moving. And I wish it was just a little bit faster and a little bit higher and lower with the characters. So I didn't love it, and it's okay for me to have my own opinion and call it tragical.
You're describing a carousel. What you're describing the things that it does.
Oops.
It's like saying, I didn't love that car. When I hit go, it went forward, and when I hit brake, it stopped. I didn't like it.
But I was told it was going to be better,
does.
And it wasn't.
I mean, that's fair. It's also, but a carousel is a carousel. Like a carousel, that's what it does. Up, down, round and round, real slow to the music, right?
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
It's a carousel.
No, you're right. But I expected more off of this epic carousel that's plopped in the middle of Stardust, in the middle of Celestial Park.
What did you want it to do? Is my question.
The designs and the colors and the lighting and the music doesn't fit the ride. I was very underwhelmed with the ride itself, but visually I thought it was awesome.
I'm just like laughing because I imagine you going on other carousels and being
truthfully,
this
I don't
one
know
is awesome.
Truthfully, I don't know what I wanted, but it was more than that.
I also think do you go to Magic Kingdom and go on the carousel and you're like,
No. No,
I can see the castle. Now I can.
I would deem that tragical too. More tragical.
So I think you're just anti-carousel.
Except for the Carousel of Progress. I love that.
Not everybody does.
Great, big,
I do love that.
Beautiful tomorrow.
Yes. Okay. I mean,
it was not great.
It's a carousel.
I walk by it and I'm like, ooh, that's pretty. And then that's it.
The carousel carouseled. I'll say it that
Yeah,
way.
it was a very slow load as well. So if you're getting on it, be prepared to wait.
I think my favorite thing about you talking about the carousel is it's exactly what a carousel is and what it's supposed to do.
But it was stinky.
It was
I didn't love it.
okay. It wasn't stinky like smelly. It
No,
was just
no. Like stinky in my opinion. Tragical. on the screen.
I say
again.
magical.
Okay.
All right, and the very last attraction we have is Stardust Racers. Climb aboard a comet and race across the stars on this dual launch coaster, which blazes through the cosmos at incredible speed. So, first off, this coaster has two sides. I would say it's not dueling coasters, it's racing coasters
Yeah.
that intertwine at multiple points of the ride.
Correct.
Now, the cool thing about this is whether you ride it during the day or at night, you're like right next to another carload of people, like racing them
Yeah.
on a different track.
They're trains with 10 rows, so you got 20 people on each car, so you got 40 people launching at once.
And if you ride it during the day, it's not lit up, but at night,
Oh,
both cars or both what's the word I'm looking for? Cars,
coaster trains.
trains. Thank you. Light up so they look like shooting stars going through the sky, and so
There's no track lighting at all on Stardust Racers. The only thing that's lit up is the vehicles. So like Danny was saying, when they're going at night, you don't see the track. You just see the vehicles with their little sparkly lights on the side, and it is such a cool effect.
I am going to deem this magical because I am obsessed with the way that the trains dance together.
Yeah.
That's the only way to describe it. The trains, as they go through the tracks, you're dancing in like next to another
Through
train.
life.
Yes, exactly. Stop now.
in your slutty little glasses.
Hang on. The internet is talking about how Jonathan Bailey is
yeah.
going to wear slutty little glasses in
Jurassic World.
And even he did a little commercial that said,
He
"You get
sure
to see
did.
me in these tiny little glasses." So that's where that comes from, and he was Fiyero and Wicked. So I just wanted to put that
That's why
together
I was
for
singing
every.
Dancing Through Life.
I just wanted to put it together for people who said, "What slutty little glasses? Do you get slutty little glasses at Epic Universe?"
sure do.
You can if you want to.
On Mario Kart.
But magical. This
Yeah,
ride is
it's
so
incredible.
magical. We rode it multiple times on both sides. I would say our favorite side was green, but both sides are incredible to ride. So I say it was magical. And what about
Yes.
you?
So both sides are amazing, green and yellow. There's not a whole lot of difference between the sides, except for there's 3 different launches on this coaster. By the way, it's incredible. There's 1 and 2 right at the beginning. So you basically both trickle out of the station together, and then you kind of turn around and you go on this big long straightaway where you launch, and then before you go up over the first hill, you launch again. So you go at a top speed of about 63 miles an hour, which is pretty comparable to Rock and Roller Coaster at Disney's Hollywood Studios.
And this ride is smooth.
Oh my God, chef's kiss.
Yes.
It is amazing. And the further you sit back in the coaster train, the more of the other coaster train you're going to see. If you sit in the front, it's amazing because there's nothing in front of you, and riding front row in a coaster like that is incredible. But if you sit all the way back or further back, you're going to experience what Danny was talking about, where the coaster trains are essentially dancing together. And after the second launch, the green side actually corkscrews up and over the top hat feature, whereas the yellow side goes up and over and then kind of corkscrews on the way down. So that's where the 2 sides kind of differ that I noticed. But after that second launch and after that top hat, you are crisscrossing over and under that other train that's racing alongside you the entire rest of the way. And it is so visually like jarring that like these people are going over your head and under your head and then alongside you, and then you can lock eyes with people on the other train, and it's like, this is so cool.
Yeah. You know what I just realized?
What?
I would really, really love if we can ever make it possible for both of us to try to ride in the front on opposite sides.
That would be so fun.
And see if we can like
make it happen.
Make eye contact.
That'd be so funny.
Oh, now I have a new goal when we go back.
Yeah.
But so tragical or magical?
Oh, it's an amazing ride. It's the best coaster at Epic Universe for sure. I would say it's just under Velocicoaster as my favorite roller coaster, period.
I would put it above Velocicoaster.
Would you?
I would.
Would you? Maybe it's just because it's Jurassic themed and a little bit more intense that I love Velocicoaster. But Stardust is absolutely incredible. And at night...
It's so different.
At night is just incredible. Especially when you're sitting in the back. We sat in the back row on the last night that we were there. And seeing the coaster trains in the dark lit up, zooming around you, up and over and underneath you, it is just next level cool.
I will say that if like Velocicoaster is like at a, I don't even know.
Intensity wise?
Yeah, no, just like in how much I like it. Not like even 1 through 10, but if it's like at a 9, then this is at a 10. Like it's just like one tiny step over. And I'm not saying it's better. It's just like, I find it fascinating, the dancing of the coasters. It's kind of like magical, and not like in a magical or tragical way, but in a way that's like, I don't know. It's just so cool to experience.
Yeah, and Velocicoaster is a little bit more intense. It's faster. Velocicoaster tops out at 70 miles an hour, whereas Stardust tops out at 63. And then the top hat effect on Velocicoaster, I believe, is 151 feet, and the one on Stardust is about 130 and change. So Velocicoaster is definitely faster, a little bit more intense. As far as intensity goes, though, Stardust is up there for sure. If you're not ready for it, it's gonna shake you up a little bit. You're gonna be your hair is gonna be standing up.
I would say that this feels more joy and dance, where Velocicoaster feels more
danger.
Yes, that's exactly it. It has different
You're
emotions.
escaping a raptor
almost.
paddock.
Yeah, it has both coasters have different emotions.
Yeah.
But all right, well, all of the attractions, all of the entertainment at Epic Universe.
Want to go over our final lists real quick,
Sure.
just to kind of recap a little bit?
Yeah.
Well, so if you want to go over yours, I'll pull yours up on the screen. So this is what Danny deemed magical and tragical.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, yeah, because some people are listening and not watching. So if you are listening, anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast, I'm going to tell you. Magical, I had Monsters Unchained, Hiccup's Wing Gliders, Meet Toothless and Friends, The Untrainable Dragon, Meet Nintendo Characters, Mario Kart, Bowser's Challenge, Yoshi's Adventure, Battle of the Ministry, Le Cirque Arcanu, Constellation Carousel, Stardust Racers. And then for Tragical, I had Curse of the Werewolf, Dragon Racers Rally, Fire Drill, Minecart Madness, and Astronomica. And I still think Minecart Madness is the worst ride in the park.
Okay. And then my final list, just to kind of go over what I deemed, and our lists are pretty similar except for a couple of things, but I put Monsters Unchained, Hiccup's Wing Gliders, Meet Toothless and Friends, The Untrainable Dragon, Meeting the Nintendo Characters, Mario Kart, Bowser's Challenge, Battle at the Ministry, Le Cirque Arcanu, Astronomica, and Stardust Racers as magical. And then for the tragical category, I put Curse of the Werewolf, Dragon Racers Rally, Fire Drill, Yoshi's Adventure, Minecart Madness, and Constellation Carousel.
So we could go on and on about how much we love this park, but in case you can't tell, we have absolutely fallen in love with Epic Universe.
And again, magical or tragical doesn't mean it's great and it sucks. It means that we liked it and then we didn't prefer it or didn't care for it.
Yeah, we love this entire park. We wouldn't have spent 5 tickets worth of our own money.
It's a lot of money.
Like to go to this park if we weren't falling in love with it and wanting to experience it before it opened. Our fear was that as soon as it opened, that the capacity was going to be really high. And from what we've seen, the capacity has been
We were
kept
wrong.
I have no regret.
I don't regret. Yeah.
No regrets. But this park must be experienced. If you are trying to guess capacity and how many people are going to be in the park and kind of basing your visit on that, don't stop it. Just come here. You have to experience this park. We have so many theme parks here, and all I can think about is wanting to go back to Epic Universe. It is just...
We've fallen in love.
It's such a magical place. They have brought this park to life with a magic that I was not prepared for. And going to the park with you 6 times, I had so much fun, like, experiencing all of this with you. And the park isn't even completed. They are going to be adding more worlds. It's completed up to what they said that they were going to complete. But overall, Epic Universe, you have my love. You've stolen my heart. You've taken my money. And I would like you to take more. So please add it to annual passes as soon as possible. But what are your last words about Epic Universe for now?
I couldn't agree more. I've completely fallen in love with this place. I cannot wait to go back more and more often once it becomes an annual pass holder option, which should be soon. Universal, make it happen. I want to give you my money. I want to go and explore Berk and go on Monsters like 6 times and go pay for food and all that kind of stuff. Like, let me back in without having to pay $150 to do it. It is awesome. It is epic. It's only going to get more epic with the expansions that are coming in the years to come. So can't say enough good things about this place. Magical or Tragical was a lot of fun going through each attraction. If you get a chance, please go to our YouTube channel. If you're not watching here and you're listening to the podcast, it's youtube.com/a couple of park hoppers. We have so many different experience videos up there right now, plus an entire tour of Epic Universe where we take you around and we review and preview every single ride at the park, and it is one of our favorite videos that we've ever made, so definitely go check that out. But thank you for listening to Disney Magic and Beyond, presented by a couple of park hoppers. Again, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure that you're following and subscribing so you get a notification anytime we post an episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that like button on this video, because we are growing exponentially right now thanks to all you guys out there. And we can't thank you enough for commenting and liking and subscribing the way you've done in the last month or so for us, because our numbers are shooting up like Stardust Racers.
And honestly, we have so many exciting things that we're going to be bringing to you moving forward. We have things that we're excited to share about Epic Universe, things that are happening at other parks, Disney, SeaWorld, all of the above, and just things that we love to do here in Orlando and beyond. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for your support. We missed you guys. We're so excited for everything that's to come. We're happy to be here together. We're happy to be here with you. If you have any questions, you want to see something from us, send us a message, send us an email or comment. Let us know what you think. But we are going to let you go. If you're listening right now, go buy that ticket to Epic Universe.
Do it.
Don't wait.
You won't regret it.
Plan that trip and let us know when you're coming and what you think about it. But until next time,
we will see you around the parks.
hopefully at Epic Universe. Bye,
See ya.
guys.